So I want to kind of do something new because we had Animation Chronicle 2024 released not too long ago in the OCG, and I kind of want to talk about a set of cards, or a bunch of cards I should say, that could probably come out in the TCG, OCG, in things like Rage of the Abyss, Supreme Darkness, or even Premium Pack 2025, because that's another set for anime imports. And we have quite a bit of cards that could still get imported that we're still missing, from like 9 Performages to many other cards that support other themes, and themes that OCG is going to be getting pretty soon. So let's talk about them and let's go through all the cards. So for the Performage lineup, we have quite a bit of them, being things like Winged Sword Witchman, Ball Balancer, your Bubble Gardener, Overlay Juggler, Bonus Dealer, Reversal Dancer, Magician Tactician, String Figure, and Mage Hurricane. 9 total cards that we're missing for the whole entire Performage side of the deck, and you could pause the video at each of them to read them specifically, because it would take me about 10 minutes just to read all 9 cards. And honestly, each one of them could get a buff, or the ones that don't have much can get a buff, which is very useful. And I think the one that will see the most play out of these would probably be something on the lines of your Tactician. Because when a card's in your spell and trap card zone is targeted for a card effect, quick effect, you can destroy all cards in your pendulum zones, negate that effect. So targeting, protection, budges, negating, and nuking your pendulum scales is very good, even if she's the only one in your pendulum zone. And when exactly one monster you control and no other card is targeted by a card or effect, send this card from the hand and one monster you control to the graveyard, then target another monster you control that would be an appropriate target. So target redirection is very good. And it's kind of like Card Gorgon, so I definitely think that this is going to be one of the ones that people will play the most out of these 9 cards, next to Mage Hurricane, because it's just a giant Trunade for Performages, and honestly is really good. I can see this getting a slapped hard once per turn, so there's that. Now after that, let's get into some other things that popped up in Animation Chronicles, like Clear. We have Clear Sacrifice. It is pretty much a tribute substitute effect, where you reveal a clear in your hand, you banish clear monsters from your graveyard equal to the number of tributes that monster needs, and you could just normal summon it without tributing this turn. So think of it kind of like how Domain of the Monarchs work, where you reveal a monster, it drops it by 2 levels, so you just need to do either 0 tributes or 1 tribute, which in my opinion definitely could help out the deck. Now after that, we do have a group of cards that were used by Yubel when they were possessing other characters in the GX anime, being related to Exodia, like Ultimate Ritual of the Forbidden Lord. We have Rage of the Forbidden One, Defense Seal Wall, and Chaos Form. All 4 of these cards were used in some form or way by Yubel, and realistically, it would be cruel to see things that can get out a retrain of Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, being able to just blanket negate all cards your opponent controls or play this turn on a spell card. We even have a trap card that negates attacks and end the battle phase, and while you control that Forbidden Lord. And Chaos Form is a useful card because it targets a monster you control, equip it each time that monster attacks, target 1 random monster in your graveyard, its attack and defense becomes equal to the attack or defense of the targeted monster. And that could definitely save certain situations here and there against certain pieces. So you can, if they attack into something small, you could go activate effect, target this card in my graveyard, and it gains, and it becomes that attack, so I win the battle. Now after that, we have more Earthbound stuff, because from Arc 5 we're still missing a couple cards, being Earthbound Rescue. It's just a preparation of rites, all from the graveyard, adding an Earthbound monster and a spell from your graveyard to your hand if you control a field spell. And Earthbound Tundra, this card would heavily be reworked because it dealt with action cards. And in the TCG, OCG, we do have action cards, but they're not considered action cards. They are just normal spells and traps. So realistically, they can update it and make it do something completely different and work with the Earthbound Servants because we've seen what they did, especially with what they could do with the Performages, is split up the cards into multiple sets, like what they did with Earthbound Servant Geo Gremlina. So that is one of the things that they can do and have been doing. After that, we have things that relate to the white deck, being things like White Sardine and all that we got in Phantom Nightmare. So we have things like White Barrier, and it makes it where white monsters you control is targeted for an attack, and you control another white monster, you took no battle damage or effect damage. You have White Nightmare, which is a thing that just makes it where all white monsters you control gain 500 attack for each sent white monster until the end of the turn, even if it leaves the field. White Paradise being special summon 2 white level 4 or lower monsters from your hand to your field, which is very good with the same name though. And then we also have White Line, which is just choose a monster your opponent controls in defense, or change it to defense. Also, you take no damage from card effects this turn randomly. Now, after that, we have stuff that relates to the toys cards that we've gotten, but this one is used by Mr. Bonaparte from GX, being Toy Cannon. Now, it does work with Yugi manga toy cards, Toy Tank, Toy Box, and Toy Soldier, because it is a toy card. So realistically, I could see Konami tying the two archetypes, the two sides of the deck together from John Luis's side and Yugi's side, and making it an actual solid deck in the future, but slowly trickling out the toy cards that we are missing. Now, other cards that support things that we've gotten in the past, have some cards for Red Dragon Archfiend, like Gorlag. We were surprised that this wasn't in Premium Pack or even Animation Chronicle, because we had Flame Crime come out, and if you guys don't remember, Flame Crime is Red Lotus King Flame Crime. This card is definitely a very powerful card to extend in things that run Fiend tuners. So if you're running the whole entire Vision Resonator package, you could just splash a copy of this in it and have a free extender. And when it's synchro summoned, you could send a normal trap from your deck to your graveyard, so you could send stuff like Transaction Rollback if you want, or even other things, which honestly I might keep a copy or two of just for the whole entire, if I want to run the Vision package with Horus ever again, which probably won't happen, but could still happen, which is very useful. We also have Red Gem supporting the red archetype, being able to nullify any destruction by battle or card effect, and Red Soul being able to reduce battle damage to the combined attack of the targeted monsters or the sent monsters to target one monster you control. So realistically, Red still has some stuff that we're missing, but that's absolutely fine. Now we have two cards that were ran by a few people in the Duel Monsters anime, most notably being like Duke Devlin and Rebecca Hawkins, being stuff like Diamond Head Dragon and Adamantine Sword Revival. Now, Sword Revival is when a dragon type monster special summoned from the graveyard, tribute it, and special summon a Diamond Head Dragon from your deck in attack position to the side of the field who summoned that dragon. And this card just gains 1,000 attack per each tributed dragon type monster from the Adamantine Sword Revival. So realistically, if they summon back 5 dragons, you tribute them all, this is a 5k beat stick, which is very, very powerful. Now, after that, let's take a look at a certain card that could help out the Guardian deck. Now, when I say Guardian, I'm talking about things like Butterfly Dagger Elma, and all of those, which is Backup Guardian, or Gardena. You target an equipped card on the field, equip to another appropriate target on the field. So it just swaps the equipped target, which is absolutely fine. And when this card is targeted for attack, discard a card and negate the attack. So realistically, they could boost this to help out the Guardian cards, because they haven't had support in a long time. Because you have things like Guardian Elma with Dagger Elma, and I feel like if we get this card in the OCG and TCG, they will have to errata Butterfly Dagger Elma. It's one of the cards that has been on the Forbidden Limited list for the longest time, And honestly, I think it's finally time for it to come back. Having a once per turn recursion or even a once per duel recursion would be fine, because it would be nice to see people play a Guardian deck, even though it's clunky. So there's that. Now, after that, let's take a look at Burning Soul Sword. This is a card that Joey Wheeler used, and I feel like that the OCG is going to get this in the premium pack for 2025, because they're getting the new Flame Swordsman stuff in their world premiere pack for this year that has our Tistinas and Ashen cards. So definitely one of the cards that I can't wait for, because it's another support card for Flame Swordsman. I've always liked Flame Swordsman, and I really hope that one day that deck could actually be meta. Then we also have Vampiric Leech. This card is from Merrick's side of the things, and it's one of his cards. So honestly, I could definitely see this being imported, because it's one of those unique cards that it could attack during the first turn, but I really don't see that being a thing. I can see it being turned into something like a direct attack, or specifically using it to discard Winged Dragon of Ra in the anime, so it would some streamline strategy to summon it from the graveyard, but honestly, it's definitely one of the things up in the air. Now, one of the cards I really would like to see printed is Obligatory Summon. This is actually a card that was in Pyramid of Light. Now, Pyramid of Light is one of these old movies that Yu-Gi-Oh! Had, the first movie, I should say, and honestly, I'd like to see this card being printed, because I always liked to see old anime and manga cards being printed finally, which would be quite nice. But honestly, seeing this card being printed would be pretty cool, because it's one of those old cards that could be very broken, but could be super useful at the end of the day, since you can use it with things like Geonator, Transverser, or even Gimmick Puppet maybe, but I'm not too sure on that. Now, after that, we have another card that supports Red Dragon Archfiend that should be up in the other segment, being Flames of the Archfiend. It makes it where destroys all field spells in the field, inflicts 1000 bit damage to both players. Also, all monsters lose 1000 attack except Fiend type monsters. So you could realistically use it in any Fiend deck, or even in Red Dragon Archfiend. After that, we have another card, Cross Shift. This is kind of like a UA type card, where you take a level 4 monster from your hand with any monster you control and swap their positions. So return one, special summon the other, and you can get whatever effect you want. Now, after that, we're going to be talking about a certain card, and this was used by Pegasus, being Prophecy. You just choose one card in your opponent's hand and guess whether its attack is above or below 2000. If you called correctly, you can add that card to your hand. It's really not that powerful, but I could definitely think that this could be a funny card at the end of the day, especially being a Pegasus card. That's definitely for sure. But after that, we have two final cards that were used by Thief King Bakura, being Mirror's Tablet and Rebirth Tablet. These two cards are definitely the only two tablet cards that are missing that haven't been printed, because they were missed in Animation Chronicle 2024. So these will definitely be the 100% slots in Premium Pack 2025. But before my voice gets ruined anymore, I'm going to end the video off here. So if you guys did enjoy this video on this talking point, hit that like button down below and tell me what you think on what cards you think from the anime and manga would be printed in the future. But anyways, I've been Bolt Spider. See you guys in the next video, and goodbye.